"Send her away, she's shouting at us," say the disciples to Jesus. Well, we can excuse them perhaps, because you'll know, especially if you watched the recent wonderful Netflix series Unorthodox, you'll know that women had no place to approach a rabbi or a teacher, and as for someone non-Jewish and female being so bold, well, that would be the last straw. That was the context and the culture, wasn't it, in which Jesus had grown up. But then we hear Jesus' stinging words to this woman in distress, practically calling her and her daughter dogs. Dogs, of course, in that time and in that context, as you know, thought of as unclean or verminous. And Jesus not even asking her name. What do we think? What do we think of that then? Well, one of the best ways of finding out what God is like is simply to look at the person, the life, the death of Jesus, whose undying passion for mercy and justice, healing and forgiveness, in short, love for all, led him to his own passion, death and resurrection. Which is why this is one of the most extraordinary encounters in the Gospels. There's something wrong here, surely. Jesus' harsh treatment of an innocent woman who'd heard of Jesus and had faith in his power to heal and was simply asking for help. It's tempting to make excuses or to try to explain it away. Perhaps the Greek of Matthew's Gospel might mean puppy, not dog, so his words were perhaps more kindly. Perhaps Jesus knew from the start that he would help the woman, but wanted to test the disciples. Perhaps he was saying to the woman, my followers think you lot, you Canaanites, are dogs, but what do you and I think about that? Perhaps. But that's not what the text says. In fact, here is perhaps one of the most remarkable dialogues of all Jesus' public ministry. St. Matthew has, up to this point, if you think about it, devoted line after line to accounts of Jesus' message of being totally misunderstood. The disciples, they don't always understand the metaphors of the parables. The Pharisees are angered at Jesus for rattling their cage of rules and regulations. And then comes along a woman, a non-Jewish Canaanite woman at that, a woman who seems somehow to understand completely. In her pithy little statement about dogs and tables and crumbs, she makes her refreshing claim to grace and healing. She even embraces Jesus' metaphorical language, something that the disciples don't always seem to manage. It's also bold, it's also insightful, it's also beautiful. To Jesus' ears, very beautiful. Not only does she clearly see who Jesus is, but she also understands how great is his power to heal. She sees that in Jesus, God's mercy is abundant. God's healing and love overflows. There's enough for not only the children of Israel, but also for the entire world and its peoples. So Jesus was changed. He realized, woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish. You see, St. Matthew wants us to see that Jesus was clearly surprised and challenged, and that he grew and changed as a result of his encounter with faith from left field. And that's precisely the point that St. Matthew wants us modern day apostles to really grasp. Faith, the movement of the Spirit, sometimes, often, comes from left field, unexpected places. And if I'm open to that, if you're open to that, it might just change us, our thinking, our attitudes, our traditions, just as it changed Jesus. And getting our heads around that is going to be essential now for our spiritual and emotional and cultural well-being and health, surely. Amidst a global pandemic, we Christians and the cultures we're set in, we face, don't we, fundamental struggles about so many things. Care for the planet so that we actually hand on something good to our children. Racial inequality. Proper funding to make health and education and justice systems work for everyone, not just the privileged or corrupt. For we Christians know what others may not know, that no one is a dog, and that everyone is a beloved child of God, deserving of God's grace found in Jesus. And for us who are the church, Christians, real questions coming out of pandemic. How can we, again, truly be that Christian presence in every community, lost in so many ways, we have to admit? How will we use these sacred spaces, the buildings which have served and fed and nurtured our forebears? How do we use worship to breathe life and light into our faith so that we are that light which shines on the things which cause inequality? And that has to start with individuals, with you and me. It has to start with individuals. Jesus listened and engaged with a stranger, someone so alien and different from the culture which had nurtured and surrounded him. Isn't this a model for listening to people who are not like us? How much do you really listen to people different from you, engage with them, learn new things from them? Different personalities, different political views, different ideas of how to be the church as we learn from the pandemic. How much do I really engage in a courageous conversation, open-mindedness, practicing not just tolerance but acceptance, living in mutual respect? Will we be receptive to new ideas of how to be church and live out our faith in whatever new normal looks like? Will we model ourselves on Jesus, who changed when he engaged with faith and understanding from a strange and unexpected quarter? Or will we say with the disciples, "Send her away, she's shouting at us"?